Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If this is your first time here, you're welcome. If you're already an existing subscriber, hi guys, welcome back to the part 2 of the previous video. So this is the sewing part. So I'm just showing you guys what it looks like before we get into it. So guys, before we get into the sewing part proper, I wanted to make a correction to the pattern. So do you see where the arrow is pointing at? You connect that point at the neck to that point that the arrow is pointing at. Yes, exactly that. And then you're going to start the curve from where the arrow is pointing again to the half-inch point under the bust line. Not this part I was using. So that's why I was trying to make the correction. You disregard this part and you start from that part where the arrow is pointing to connect to that point. Then at this front part where I took 1 inch for the button placket, you're going to be taking 2 inches. 2 inches, guys, because our neck collar is 2 inches. So that's why I'm taking 2 inches. So if you already took 1 inch, just add an extra one. That's what I was writing. So this is me making the correction on my pattern. I'm extending mine by 2 inches. So I'm just marking 2 inches instead of 1, just adding an extra 1 inch to my initial 1 inch, making it 2 inches. So just make that correction on your own. That's just the 2 correction I wanted to make. So that's just me doing mine. So we're going to get into the sewing part proper. So this, I'm just showing you my pieces. This is my center, the bottom of my front. I have half an inch at the center front, 1 inch at the side, half at the top and half at the bottom. I'm just showing you the 4 pieces. I have 2 lining pieces and 2 main pieces. I stay onto my lining piece. This is my back piece. I have half an inch at the center back, 1 inch at the side, half at the top, half at the bottom. I also ironed hairstay onto my back piece. So this is my the top of my back. I have half an inch at the armhole, 1 inch at the side, half at the top, half at the bottom, and half at the neckline. And this is my front piece. I have 1 inch on the side, half at the bottom, half at the top, half at the shoulder, and half at the armhole. So this is my collar piece. I have 5 inches wide, and then 20 inches long. My initial measurement was 17, but I just decided to add 3 inches extra, just so I will not be short of fabric. This is my sleeve. So my fabric was not enough for the full sleeve, so I had to make cuffs for mine, just so that at least I can just show you guys the style. But I didn't have enough fabric for the full balloon sleeve that was required of the style. So that's what I'm just showing you. So it's time to begin with the front. I'm just removing my pins. I'm going to be making gather stitches at the shoulder and gather stitches at the bottom on the 2 pieces, both the left and the right. So I'm just going to do that. Then at the back also, I'm going to be making gather stitches at the bottom. Yes, guys. So I'm done doing that. There's gather stitches at the bottom of the back. There's gather stitches at the top and the bottom of the front. So now I'm just going to pull on the gather stitches on the shoulder of the front, the shoulder part. Remember, we have part of the front shoulder on the back in our pattern, so I have to connect those 2 pieces back. So this is me joining that to my back. I'm going to be sewing my half-inch allowance away. So I'm doing the same thing to the other side, pulling the gather to fit into that space, and then taking half inches. So I'm going to sew that half inch, and this is it. I'm back. I'm done sewing that. You can see what it looks like. This is it. So the next thing we're going to be doing is, so guys, please, before you remove your piece from the back, please mark that point where the front shoulder and the back shoulder meets, because that's our middle point. That's our shoulder line. So just make a small notch. That's what I was showing you. So I'm folding my neck into 2, my back neck, and I'm finding the middle. So just spread that out. So now we're going to be attaching the collar. So I'm finding the middle of the collar at the top and the bottom, just making the notch there so I can know the middle part. So now I'm going to be connecting the middle to the middle. I'm just pinning that down. I'm going to pin that all the way to the other end. So I'm just showing you, make sure the right sides are facing each other. So I'm pinning it all the way to the end. And then the same thing on the other side. So I'm just going to sew my 1/2 inch allowance away, and then I'll come back and show you guys. So this is what it looks like. I've joined it all, guys. I've ironed it, and I've ironed 1/2 inch away at the top part of the collar. Do you see what I'm saying? I also ironed 1/2 inch, so it will be easy for me. So just do yours like this. Iron the what you sewed, and then iron 1/2 inch. Just fold your fabric in half and iron that down. So now I'm pinning again the middle part to the middle. Remember those notches I made? So I'm just pinning that down. I'm covering the sewing that I just did. Guys, please just make sure your fabric is covering just a little bit after your seam line, just a little bit after. So after doing that, I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to be sewing on that seam line that we just made on the front side. That's the right side of the fabric. You're going to do that, stop stitching on top directly on that line, guys, please. So I'm just showing you what it looks like. Can you see? It's neat and it's looking good, and I've ironed it. So what I was trying to say is, please sew on that line in the front so that the seam is only showing at the back. It won't be visible from the front. That's how you get it neat and clean. So after doing that, I want to trim off the excess of my collar. It's better for you to have excess than for it not to be enough. So I've just flipped it over, and then I'm cutting it out on one side, and I'm going to be doing the same thing on the other side. So flip it over and then just cut it out so that it's straight. Please make sure your fabric is straight so it's not short. So I'm done doing that. I'm going to be attaching the bottom part of the front and the bottom part of the back. So I'm just showing you guys how neat it's looking so far and how everything is coming along perfectly. So I'm bringing my front and bottom part. First of all, I'm going to be measuring my 1/2 inch allowance away from the front. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm just going to mark out that 1/2 inch allowance so that I don't sew over that. Just marking the 1/2 inch allowance. Just rolling that down. It's going to be a guide for me. So now I'm going to sandwich starting from that 1/2 inch point. Please, guys, don't put yours across. It has to start. That's why I put the 1/2 inch line as a guide. So I'm just pulling all the gathers in to fit into that space. I'm going to put the lining piece over it. I'm just sandwiching this in between. Remember, your inner piece is starting from that 1/2 inch line, but your lining piece is going to be exactly in the same position like the main piece under. So I'm just pinning everything down. I'm going to sew the 1/2 inch and sew the 1/2 inch allowance at the front too. So 1/2 inch at the top and 1/2 inch at the side. Please, when you're sewing the center front, please move the collar inward so you don't sew on top of it. So I'm doing the same thing onto the right side. Exactly what I did to the left. Sew the top and sew the side. So now I'm going to just pin my back down so that I can do all of them together and show you guys. So I'm just stretching and pulling in my gathers so that it can fit into the back. I'm just marking so I know where the top of my where the top is and where the bottom is. That's what I was marking there. So now I'm going to just pin this on top and then put the lining piece under it. We're just sandwiching it. That's what we're doing. So I'm done doing that. You can see I'm done sewing it. So I'm just showing you guys what it looks like. I've sewn the top and also the front. I'm just making a notch, like a triangular notch, just so that place lays flat. And then I'm trimming away all my excess allowance so there's not a lot of bulk there. So just do yours the same. You can see it will lay flat. By the time you iron it, it's going to lay very flat. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just showing you guys why we sandwich so that it's neat on the inside and your seams are not showing. So I'm doing the exact same thing to the left side. I'll do the exact same thing to the back, trim out the bulk, and then I'll iron it and show you guys what it looks like. So I'm done ironing it, guys. It's time to attach, close up the sides. So I'm pinning the middle seam to the middle seam, and then I'm pinning the sides together. I'm going to sew away my 1 inch allowance on the side, and I'll show you guys what it looks like. So I'm done. I'm just showing you, make sure the middle is touching the middle seam, please. So everything is done right now. It's time for my sleeve. So guys, when I was saying this is not the original sleeve that came with the style, I did not have enough fabric for that balloon sleeve, so I had to improvise and make cuffs for my sleeve. So I'm just marking the front side of the sleeve so I know where the front is and where the back is. So I'm going to make gather stitches at the bottom of mine and gather stitches at the top, because this sleeve is not like the other sleeve. So now I'm done making the gather stitches. I'm just showing you guys. I've made the gather stitches at the bottom, so I'm just going to pull my gather stitch together so it can fit into the cuff that I have. So this is my cuff pieces. I'm just going to sandwich that again, sandwiching just like the front. Place the gather stitch in between, sew it up, close up the sides and put your elastic at the bottom. Oh guys, this style calls for a balloon sleeve, so please have enough fabric before you make yours. So if you have enough fabric, this is what you just do. You fold the ends just to make a casing for your elastic, the bottom of the sleeve. So that's what I was folding there to show you. So now I'm going to pull on the gathers at the top of my sleeve. Just pulling on the gathers so that I can attach it to the main fabric. So I'm just bringing out my top now. I'm looking for the middle point. Remember I marked the middle, so I'm looking for the middle point to attach to the middle. Remember the notch you made, not the join at the shoulders. That notch, that's your middle point, so that's where you fix it to, not the seam at that shoulder part. No, that part that we marked where the front and the back shoulder met, that's our middle. So I'm just pinning the middle to the middle. Then I'm pinning the sides to the sides. I'm just pulling on the gather. I'm stretching it out to make sure I accumulate the excess at the shoulder part. So I'm pinning, that's what I'm doing, stretching all the excess up to the shoulder part. Then I'm just pinning down. This part you have to be very careful. You stretch, pin, stretch and pin. Make sure you accumulate the excess of the fabric on the shoulder. So that's what I was trying to do here. That's why I'm taking my time to show you this. So I'm doing the same thing to the other side. I'm pulling the excess to the shoulder parts, to the top, to the middle, and then I'm just pinning just like that. So I'm going to sew that around and show you guys what it looks like. I'll doing the exact same thing to the other side. So I'm just pinning it down. Please spread the gathers evenly at the top so it's not bulky. So I'm sewing that around and I'll show you guys what it looks like. I'll do the same thing to the other side. So guys, I'm done attaching. Do you see my puff for my shoulder? It's already looking good. Guys, the top is already looking good. So at this point, you just fold in your hem, and then we're going to making the button holes. So guys, when you overlap, please make sure it's exactly 2 inches. You overlap the fabric under and the one on top. The overlap should be exactly 2 inches. So I'm just marking my button holes where I'm going to be placing my buttonholes. So depending on how big or small your buttons are, if you're using small buttons, please make them 1/2 inch apart. But if you're using big buttons, you can go as much as 1 inch apart. So I'm just showing you my buttons. Guys, at this point, if you have not subscribed, please don't forget to subscribe, like, comment. Can you see my top, guys? It's looking so good. It came out so well. At this point, I already did my makeup and my hair because I was going out. I look too good to stay at home. Can you see, guys? It was looking really, really nice. See you guys on the next one. Bye.